somebody whose work I really enjoyed for all those years on CSI, and somebody who I interviewed on NFL Total Access a decade ago, coming on picking games for our Friday Celebrity Pick segment, Marg Helgenberger. Good to see you here on this show.
Great to see you, Rich.
Thank you for having me here.
Thanks for having me.
I love it. So you tell me, how does somebody who's a Carolina Panther fan come from Nebraska? Is there a specific pipeline here? Or no?
Well, I was shooting a movie in Wilmington, North Carolina, when they became a franchise team in '94. And my son was 4 at the time, and his dad and I, we all decided, let's root for this team because we like the mascot, we like the uniforms, et cetera, et cetera. And we've stuck to that, you know, and it's not been easy to stick to being a Carolina Panther fan. At times, it's a little, you know, challenging.
But
this year in particular.
This year in particular. But it's amazing how they're still in it, though. We were talking about how they are still in it.
So who would go figure, right? I mean, it's like one of these crazy seasons.
3-7-1. If tonight you root for the Ravens tonight, as I'm sure you would, taking on the Saints, and then you're just a half game out of it.
I know.
What do you think of Cam Newton? What are your thoughts on watching him play football, Marg Helgenberger?
Well, I'm always like rooting for him, of course.
Of course.
And, you know, it's some days are good, some days aren't so good.
Right.
And I keep hoping for the best.
They miss Steve Smith, I think. Don't you think they miss Steve Smith?
I was heartbroken, honestly, when they let him go. I really thought, why are you doing this? I've loved him since I don't know, the whole time he was with Carolina. And, you know, he's a hometown boy. He's from L.A. and Santa Monica College and Uni High and all that.
I just love the way he plays, you know?
With so much passion.
Yeah.
I know.
And you can't put a discount on that. Certainly in a sport where passion can bring you a whole different dynamic on the field, and certainly just getting ready for I love Steve Smith.
I do
that
too.
one is a head scratcher to me.
I do too. And the opening game against was the Ravens, and he I think had 2 touchdowns that game.
Did.
And I thought, wow. I mean, it just seemed like such a slap back, a way to get even. But
and that's one guy who you never want to get in his face. You never want to give him the opportunity to slap you back, because he'll do it every single time. You know?
Right. But I mean, obviously, you know, he says he's always loved Carolina, and, you know, because his family still lives there. I
One
believe,
day he will come home.
Charlotte.
They'll put his number in a ring. I think everyone else is going to eventually come together.
One day he'll come back?
I just think he'll retire as a Panther one day, and he'll come back in the fold. The same way that Favre is going to come back in Green Bay. When he left Green Bay, everybody thought, well, this is going to be an ugly divorce for years and years to come. I don't think so. I think one day everyone's just going to calm down, and Steve Smith will be in the Panther family. That's maybe I'm naive. I don't know.
I don't think so.
Okay,
I hope you're right.
I hope I'm right,
that would be, you know, the right thing to do.
Where would you, for that one, the first Super Bowl NFL Network ever covered was Carolina against New England. Were you at that game? Where'd you watch that Super Bowl?
I did not go to that game, sadly. Well, we lost like in a field goal.
Yep, Vinatieri beat you in the last seconds, but he's done that to many different people. As well.
Yeah. I was watching it at our house, and it happened. If you remember, I remember this.
Yeah.
It was the controversial halftime show with Janet Jackson.
Oh yes.
The Nipplegate thing, right?
Yes, I was there.
And so that kind of the whole game got overshadowed by that. Like immediately, you know, and that's just before Twitter and.
Could you imagine Twitter would have absolutely imploded if Twitter was around for that.
It would have broken the internet.
Yes, and it eventually did anyway. But so you were watching that halftime, or
I was, and I remembered that happening. And what was that? It happened so quickly. But then remember, like weeks passed, and there was just like the way they slowed it down to like microseconds, so how much of it you could see, and it was a weird thing. It was just a strange thing. But I also was a little disturbed because everybody always like put all the heat on Janet Jackson, and I mean, you know, Justin Timberlake was the one that like. And he didn't take any heat for it.
Well, you know, interesting enough as you say that, Marg Helgenberger's here in the studio. 2 years later, I'm at a tailgate prior to the Super Bowl, and I turn around, and who is there in like the VIP section? Who's there? But Timberlake. And I thought to myself, this is 2 years after, by the way, whichever PR person came up with the phrase wardrobe malfunction needs to be in the Hall of Fame. If there's a Hall of Fame for PR, I mean, they must have been coming on like, what can we call it? Oh, let's call it a wardrobe malfunction. Fantastic. Hall of Fame phraseology. But he was there. And I turned, at one point, and this was again before Instagram or Twitter, because I would have definitely snapped the photograph at 2 feet, standing back to back, 2 feet apart, was Paul Tagliabue, the commissioner at the time, and Justin Timberlake. And 2 years before, Timberlake was persona non grata after all of that stuff that was going on.
He didn't get it. Honestly, I don't remember him getting any heat. Maybe I was just, as a woman, I'm like, why is she taking all the heat or whatever? But because remember, she had to like publicly apologize, and then she was. I think CBS asked her to pay the fine, and I don't know what.
Yeah,
I'm
the
going
NFL
on
has
about,
since taken over the halftime. The NFL took over the whole halftime production and all of that stuff, and that was a very interesting first Super Bowl for the Carolina Panthers, who they almost won the darn thing.
Yeah,
you know,
and it was New England.
Yeah, Marg Helgenberger is here on the Rich Eisen show. We did notice on your Twitter account that you had an interesting tweet about the Steelers and their uniforms.
Oh yeah,
recently.
the bumblebee.
Yeah. Did you sort of noticed that whole business with their uniforms? There it is, the only player in NFL history with 2 500-yard passing games, and he has the BALLS to wear that. Did I really just spell it out as if like? By the way, that's what hanging out with a 3-year-old and a 6-year-old will do at home. I just spelled out balls. That just happened.
Could spell out cojones.
Yeah, I could have.
Probably wouldn't get it.
But I just spelled. It's like, what am I possibly thinking of right now? That's crazy. That's a funny tweet out of you right there. That's a good one out of you right there.
Well, thank you.
You're very welcome.
No, I actually was watching that game too, and I can't remember who they were playing.
They're playing the Colts. That was a pretty big, crazy game.
Okay.
Yeah, you never forget when somebody has
those uniforms before. I know, like once a season, doesn't every team pull out the old stuff?
Yeah, the milk dud sort of uniforms that the Packers wear. It's really strange sometimes.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, anything for a buck. Now, we mentioned this to you in the commercial break before we started this interview. Mike Del Tufo, our sound man, tells us, when we heard that you were kindly gracing us with your presence on this program, Mike, you drove Marg around.
Yes, for a movie of the week.
A movie of the week.
20 days about.
Murder Live.
Yeah.
Now, he doesn't. He remembers driving you around. Do you remember being driven around by him? Please, it's okay if this answer is no. Trust me.
No one
If
remembers
the answer is yes, that's fine. The answer no would be even better for our purposes moving forward. Don't mean to put you on the spot, but it's okay.
I do remember, but I'm glad I got the reminder. Yes. No.
Now, there's the photograph for those who are watching on the Audience Network.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, man, that's great
Vindication.
Fantastic
Thank you, Marg.
acting.
There you are. Looking as lovely as you
Mike.
do today, and Mike looking the way he looks
honestly,
like
no,
today,
remember,
too.
we had fun.
We had fun.
We
Yeah,
did. We
did.
chatted, quite a bit, and
Oh, God, really?
yeah.
You poor thing.
Well, you're going to and from the set from somebody. I don't want to sit in the back and be a diva.
She actually sat up front, which Liza Minnelli did not, just so everybody knows.
Wait a minute, you drove Liza Minnelli around, too?
Yes.
What the hell?
See,
burying the lead.
is going on around here?
but
Unbelievable.
Marg was way better.
Maybe if you
I knew that.
had sang, New York, New York, she
Yes.
would have been more.
You would have liked me better.
She would have liked you a little bit better. How was his driving? Do you recall that?
Well, I would remember if it was shitty. I mean, pardon me.
It's okay.
SHITTY.
Earmuffs.
No, honestly, he was a great driver.
Thank you.
I mean, you
Okay.
remember the bad drivers.
Yes,
Thank
you
you.
would remember that.
Or you remember the bad driving. No, you would remember the bad driving.
Well, he's a
too,
for
for
he's
sure.
yeah.
But I
he's-
remember
Okay.
we had a good time together.
Murder Live, everybody.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that we can have this Murder Live reunion of sorts.
Thank you.
Right here. Marg, thanks for coming in. I appreciate it.
My
You
pleasure.
are welcome back anytime.
Thanks,
anytime.
Rich.
You bet. Marg Helgenberger at Marg Helgen, right?
Yeah.
On Twitter.
Yeah, there
Well,
was
'cause
too
you-
many people had my name, and I was stupid enough not to find official or whatever.
But it's better if it's shorter for retweeting purposes because you get to
that's
use more
true.
characters. See?
Brilliant.
I'm just trying to leave you in a better spot.
Thank
that's
you.
all.
Thank
Marg
you.
Helgenberger.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern. On Audience.